Nashville, Tennessee, country music capital of the world, home of the Grand Ole Opry, where singers and dreamers come seeking stardom. Join me as we learn about the lives and careers of those who built this town on Classic Country Backstories. Hello and welcome to Classic Country Backstories. I'm Colleen Gallagher. Today we're going to talk about one of the founding members of country music. I'm talking about Ernest Tubb. Ernest Dale Tubb was born February the 9th, 1914, on a cotton farm in Crisp, Texas, about 35 miles southeast of Dallas. He was the son of Calvin and Ellen Tubb, who were sharecroppers. Ernest was the youngest of 5 children. He spent most of his youth farming in various parts of the state. As a teenager, he worked as a soda jerk in a drugstore in Alamo City, Texas. Tubb taught himself to sing, yodel, and play guitar. He was a fan of the early movie cowboys like Buck Jones and Tom Mix. He became a huge fan of Jimmie Rodgers and his music, who had lived and died in San Antonio. In 1933, at the age of 19, Ernest went to work unpaid for KONO Radio in San Antonio. He supported himself by digging ditches on the side. Shortly after the passing of Jimmie Rodgers in 1933, he phoned Carrie Rodgers, Jimmie's widow, asking for an autographed picture of Jimmie. Carrie befriended Tubb. She listened to his radio program and offered professional advice. She loved his friendly personality and his heartfelt singing. She helped him buy his clothes and choose his songs. Eventually, she helped him to obtain a record contract with Jimmie's label, RCA Victor Records, then releasing all of their country recordings on Bluebird in 1936. He was sent on a regional tour of movie theaters to promote his recordings. However, both albums, which were similar to Jimmie Rodgers' albums, were not successful. Between 1937 and 1940, Ernest Tubb worked for radio stations while also working day jobs in cities like Midland, San Angelo, and Corpus Christi. In 1939, he had a tonsillectomy in San Angelo, which lowered his voice considerably and eliminated the Rodgers yodel. This change encouraged him to develop his own style and made him a more energetic and effective songwriter. In April of 1940, Dave Kapp of Decca Records agreed to record Ernest Tubb in Houston. Tubb moved to KGKO in Fort Worth in December and became a full-time musician for the first time. In June of 1941, his sponsor became Universal Mills, makers of Gold Chain flour. Ernest became known as the Gold Chain Troubadour. He toured Texas grocery and feed stores, singing at town squares where future stars Charlie Walker and Hank Thompson first heard him. However, Ernest was working for less than $75 a week and he was not selling many records. He was almost ready to leave the music industry and take a job in the defense industry when he recorded his all-time biggest hit, Walkin' the Floor Over You, which became a million-selling record and led Ernest Tubb on the path to Hollywood. Tubb sang in 2 Hollywood movies filmed in 1942, Fighting Buckaroo and Riding West. He also sang on Sunday package shows with stars Bob Wills and Roy Acuff all over the country. While playing in Birmingham, Alabama in December of 1942, he met Nashville talent agent J.L. Frank, who booked shows for Tubb in the upcoming months, including a spot on the Grand Ole Opry. As a result, Ernest became a member of the Grand Ole Opry in February of 1943, where he remained as a regular performer for the remainder of his life and career. With the help of Frank, he sold a series of radio songbooks via WSM broadcasts and formed his band, the Texas Troubadours. He continued his film career with periodic trips to California, making Jamboree for Republic in 1944 and Hollywood Barn Dance for an independent studio in 1947. He was married to Lois Elaine Cook on May 26, 1934. They had 3 children, Justin, Roger, and Elaine. They divorced in 1948. By this time, Ernest Tubb was considered one of country music's brightest stars. He frequented the charts with songs such as Soldier's Last Letter in 1944, Tomorrow Never Comes, and It's Been So Long, Darling in 1945. Rainbow at Midnight and Filipino Baby in 1946. The first Ernest Tubb record shop was opened in May of 1947 at 720 Commerce Street in Nashville. It was the first major all-country record store. Ernest Tubb's Midnight Jamboree came sometime in the next year as a result of the outgrowth of the record shop. The show was broadcast live over WSM radio directly following the Grand Ole Opry broadcast. The show mostly featured up-and-coming artists and their new record releases. Ernest was the first to bring the Opry to Carnegie Hall in 1947. In 1949, he made 7 more hits: Blue Christmas, Don't Rob Another Man's Castle, Have You Ever Been Lonely, I'm Biting My Fingernails and Thinking of You, Slipping Around, Tennessee Border No. 2, and Warm Red Wine. Tubb married Olene Adams Carter in June of 1949. Together they had 5 children: Larry, Karen, Ernest Jr., Gail, and Earlene. In 1953, E.T. helped found the Jimmie Rodgers Memorial Festival in Meridian, Mississippi. Grateful to Carrie Rogers, Ernest did everything he could as a star to help others, such as taking entertainers on tour with him and putting in a good word to the Opry management and record producers, showcasing artists on the Midnight Jamboree, hiring musicians to work in his band, and offering words of advice. He was known to the other entertainers in the music business as one of the industry's most generous and selfless performers. Johnny Cash, Patsy Cline, Skeeter Davis, Jack Green, Cal Smith, Loretta Lynn, Stonewall Jackson, George Hamilton IV, Carl Smith, Hank Snow, Charlie Walker, the Wilburn Brothers, Hank Williams, and many others owed Ernest Tubb many thanks for his help. Many performers spent time as a band member of Ernest's Texas Troubadours. Jack Green sang and played drums with the Texas Troubadours before becoming known as a solo artist. In 1961, Tubb heard Cal Smith playing guitar in a local San Francisco Bay band, auditioned him, and hired him in 1961. He can be heard playing on several Ernest Tubb records in the 1960s. Johnny Paycheck reported that E.T. hired him and even gave him one of his own suits, which he had cut down to fit Paycheck. Then he hired him to open shows for the next 10 days. Both Floyd Kramer and record producer Owen Bradley played piano for the Troubadours. This is not to mention all the players that went on to have massive careers as musicians in the major Nashville studios. Willie Nelson was a member of the Texas Troubadours in 1962, receiving a sterling silver belt buckle from Ernest Tubb with his name engraved on it. He became prolific as part of Decca's penchant for recording and promoting duo acts, recording with the Andrews Sisters in 1949, Red Foley from 1949 through 1953, the Wilburn Brothers in 1957, and Loretta Lynn from 1964 to 1969. His career was on an upswing during the early and middle 60s. He received a gold record for record sales of more than 500,000 copies of Walking the Floor Over You. The same year, he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. He hosted a syndicated television show out of Nashville between 1965 and 1968, with Willie Nelson as his co-star during the early episodes. He became a member of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1970. He performed 150 to 200 shows per year between the early 60s and 1982. His long-time battle with emphysema finally forced him to quit. He was loyal to his fans, and they were loyal to him. During his career, he recorded 250 songs and sold over 30 million records. In a 1980 interview, he said, "To me, country music is from your heart and soul. It's your life." Ernest Tubb died on September 6, 1984, at the Baptist Hospital in Nashville from complications of emphysema. He was 70 years old. His memorial service at Two Rivers Baptist Church near the Grand Ole Opry House was a heartfelt event that celebrated his life and music, with songs filling the church and tributes to his contributions in country music. The service recognized Tubb's impact on the genre, his mentorship of young artists, and his lasting legacy through his songs like Walking the Floor Over You. Ernest Tubb was buried at the Hermitage Memorial Gardens on land formerly owned by Andrew Jackson. He has continued to gain more accolades as a country legend. He received a Grammy Hall of Fame award in 1998 for Walking the Floor Over You. In 1999, he was inducted into the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. He is also in the West Texas Hall of Fame. The Ernest Tubb Record Shop closed its doors and was sold to a group of investors in July of 2022. One of the investors is Tubb's grandson, Ernest Dale Tubb III. It is currently under renovation and planned to be open at some point in the future. And that's a wrap for our tribute to the Texas Troubadour himself, Ernest Tubb. From honky-tonk highways to Grand Ole Opry nights, his voice helped shape the sound of country music as we know it. If you enjoyed this look back at this life and legacy of Ernest Tubb, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more stories from the heart of country music. Until next time, keep your boots dusty and your records spinning. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you later.